People often ask, Birdy, why don't you use jokes? Why don't you use humor? Why don't you try to communicate with people in that way? You have your broadcasts that are talking about black issues. Why don't you throw a little humor in there? Why don't you do that? And I'll answer that question as simply as possible. The reason I don't use humor or tell jokes is because I can't. And it's not because of my ability, but it's because of the ability of black people. Black people don't understand jokes. That's as simple as it is. Now, with me living here in China, I'm conversational in Chinese. I can speak Chinese. I have the ability to converse in the language. But that's like asking me, okay, Birdy, why don't you speak Chinese with black people? It's because they lack the capability, the ability to understand Chinese. So I can't. Of course, you can go find some tokens here and there that can or have lived abroad, but that's not the point. The point is, if I'm trying to communicate effectively with the masses, I cannot tell jokes. Black people don't understand jokes. You may think I'm wrong on this, but I'm going to play you a clip from Rush Hour. This is a movie that came out in the 90s with Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan, and there's a famous line that lots of black people thought they understood. They thought it was funny, and I'm going to play this in a second. And it's simply going to reiterate what I just told you. Black people have no idea what humor is. They sat around and they laughed because they thought Chris Tucker said something funny. Don't you ever touch a black man's radio.
You must take me to see Consul Han right away.
Man, just sit there and shut up. This ain't no democracy.
Yes, it is.
No, it ain't. This is the United States of James Carter now. I'm the president, I'm the emperor, I'm the king. I'm Michael Jackson, you Tito. Your ass belong to me.
Why would they not want my help?
Because they don't give a damn about you. They don't like you. I don't like you.
I don't care. I'm here for the girl.
The girl don't like you. Nobody likes you. You came all the way over here for nothing. You ain't gonna be on...
Beach Boy.
Oh, hell no. You didn't just touch my goddamn radio.
The Beach Boys are great American music.
The Beach Boys gonna get you a great ass whooping. Don't you ever touch a black man's radio, boy. You can do that in China, but you can get your ass killed out here, man. I'm gonna show you real music. Yeah, that's real music. You hear that?
You ain't gotta be rich, but bump that. Help gon' get around on your horse pass. So I put this on your mustache. Can you afford it? My hell rep winners.
Now, can you do that to the Beach Boys? Can you do that to the Beach Boys? Hell no.
Baby boy, better get up, get out, do something. I like a lot of...
Now, I'm going to go ahead and explain what you just heard because many of you didn't get it. I know that. I understand that. I was once a child too, believe it or not. I sat around as a child and I laughed. I thought, ha ha ha. This is quite humorous. We as blacks, we do love our music. We do love to dance. I thought that was pretty funny as a child. Unfortunately, you don't get to remain a child forever. So I'm going to go ahead and explain the humor in it and why. If you don't get this humor, what hope do we ever have that I can actually use humor? Because you won't get it. If you haven't gotten it at this point, just believe me, just trust me, the next joke you see, you're not going to get it. So avoid looking for humor. The reason that was funny, the reason it was funny is because we live in a system of white supremacy. And in this system, the Asian man who just got off the plane, it was funny because he didn't realize that all the black man had been left with to control was his radio in his car. He didn't understand that that was the black man's last jewel. He just came in and took control of it. That's why it was funny. He said, don't you ever touch a black man's radio. He said radio because there was nothing else he could say. He couldn't say, don't you touch our businesses. We don't have any businesses. You have few scattered here and there. We don't have any significant business districts, I should say. He didn't say, don't you touch our economy. He can't say that. There is no black economy. He didn't say, don't touch our money. We don't have that. We have less than 1%. He didn't say, don't touch our families. Don't you ever touch our children. He didn't say that. Black men can't say that. Black men can't say that. You can't say, don't you ever touch a black man's child. That'll get you killed. Isn't that right, Darren Wilson? George Zimmerman, Michael Dunn. When has touching a black man's child ever gotten you killed? There are no repercussions. So the joke is that all you've been left with is a radio, which actually you haven't been left with. That is the joke. You are the joke. That you don't have anything. And instead of being concerned about being able to protect your families, instead of being concerned about, don't you ever touch a black man's son. Instead of being concerned about saying that, what the black man is concerned about is his radio, his sneakers, his socks, his shoestrings, his fingernails, his eyelashes. Whatever little shred that he can hold on to. Oh, I guess I wasn't supposed to say that. You looking into it too much. It's not that. It's just a simple joke. Exactly. You didn't get it. You didn't get the joke. You sat up here and you went and you watched Eddie Murphy Raw. And we all laughed. He did the ice cream skit. Talked a little about sex and Michael Jackson, and we all laughed. And we didn't get the joke that here these Negroes are being killed just like we're being killed today. Now you just see it in HD. Being murdered just like then. We watched Eddie Murphy Raw and Richard Pryor, and we thought they were funny, all the skits and the characters and the ice cream man and the sex, and we sat around and we laughed, and we didn't get the joke. Brothers and sisters, the joke is you. You're the joke. The joke is that you've got this man prancing around on the stage talking about an ice cream man instead of white supremacy. He's got the ears of thousands, if not millions of black people that'll listen to him. And instead of talking about white supremacy and his predicament and how the infrastructure can just come in and murder his kids, he's more concerned about talking about ice cream and popsicle sticks. That's the joke. The joke has nothing to do with, you know, when you have sex and you get really good and you get in your 20s and you think you know what you're doing. And that's not the joke. The joke is that, one, he's concerned about talking about the ice cream man. Ice cream man! Ice cream man! And your mother throws down change and then you run to the ice cream man. That's the joke. The joke is that he's talking about an ice cream man instead of white supremacy. That's the main joke. The joke is that you're listening to him leads you nowhere. That's the joke. The joke is that he's able to mobilize millions of black men, and he's able to get them out to come discuss popsicle sticks. That's the joke. Black people don't get jokes. We thought, oh, Martin Lawrence, that was funny. Big Mama's House. And he dressed up as a woman and he did that character really well and this joke and this part. The joke was that you were still broke. And instead of addressing your brokenness, your bumminess, your dustiness, instead of addressing the fact that you're living over in the corner of society, instead of addressing that fact that you're living like a slug, you don't even have 1% of the nation's wealth, you don't have any inheritance to give to your kids, you don't control anything, you lack any power. Instead of addressing that, the joke is that you're more concerned watching a man put on a wig, a dress, and pretend to be an old grandmother. That's the joke. So how am I supposed to use jokes with people that don't understand jokes? I don't understand this. How? Tell me, how is this possible? It logically makes no sense. If black people do not speak Chinese, what reason do I have for speaking the language that they don't speak? Why don't I just speak the language they speak? If they don't understand jokes, why waste my time trying to tell jokes? They don't understand them. They've already demonstrated this again and again and again. They don't get the joke. The joke is you. You are the joke. But you could just use humor anyway. That's how you change things with humor. This is what they say to me. You can just use humor. Humor can influence people and it can connect with them and change things. But do you know all these individuals who want to talk about humor with me and the fact that I've got to use more humor, make it more lighthearted, make someone feel comfortable? Can someone tell me which comedian, which Iraqi comedian was it that stopped America from invading? Which joke was that? When the U.S. said, we're going to go take over, we're going to Iraq, which comedian was that stood up, told some jokes, and got the U.S. to back down? When the U.S. is negotiating, which comedian do they send? What joke does he tell? When Hitler was ruling over Europe, which comedian was he ruling with? Which comedians are making all this great change? Which joke? Because maybe I can use that joke. Apparently, if I'm missing out on the joke that's going to change everything, simply tell me the joke. Which knock-knock joke or which chicken crossing the road joke is going to deal with white supremacy and end it? Because apparently joking is the answer. I need jokes. My delivery is off. I need jokes. I need humor. That's how you stop Darren Wilson. That's how you stop Darren Wilson. You just tell him a simple joke. Walter Scott, he just needed the right joke. Tamir Rice, he just needed the right funny line. He needed some wit. Lennon Lacey just needed a little more sarcasm. Joking is how we get out of this. Being silly, this is the answer to white supremacy. This is how we end a war. This is how you stop genocide. This is what you do. You just joke. You use humor. We've got to line up all our comedians. Now, if that doesn't sound like a white supremacist talking to you, I don't know what does. But
yeah, you guys are good because I don't
blacks were surrounded by black-faced white supremacists.
I smoke a lot of pot, and it's like
this is why they feel so comfortable telling you, you know, what you need is a little more joking. I don't like how serious it is right now. I don't like that we're talking about white supremacy. Why can't we tell some jokes and make it, why can't we kind of dodge around that? Let's switch the topic up and say it in another way that we can appeal to a broader audience. Let's just talk about mean things that happen. Let's just call it police brutality, not murder. Let's not even call it that. Why don't we just say police wrongdoings? No, instead of that, why don't we just say police misconduct? No, instead of that, why don't we just joke about it being police mishaps? Let's just make this a game until it's them. Until it's them. That's when they want the jokes to stop. When it's their son, when it's their daughter, their sister, their mother getting billy clubbed, shot. When it's their father that was running and got shot.
That's not really a compliment.
Didn't even need to run. They were going to shoot you anyway.
I was doing that joke one
But
night,
that's when they want to say, hey, why is everyone joking about it? This is a serious issue. Why are we still joking? Has everyone gone mad? We're in the middle of a war and you're joking? That's the wake-up call in the form of a bullet. That's the wake-up call you get from the coroner's office. So in short, that's my answer. Why don't I use jokes and humor? Because I can't. I have the ability, but black people have proven they do not have the ability to understand jokes. Don't you ever touch a black man's woman. Well, can't say that. People treat your women like prostitutes. Don't you ever touch a black man's business. Well, can't say that. Those little hustles that you're putting together aren't really businesses. Don't you ever touch a black man's school. Well, can't say that. Over at the HBCUs, the men are walking around in dresses, pantyhoses, skirts, heels, and swag dancing. I don't know how much of a school that is, and it's not even teaching the kids about white supremacy. I don't know what kind of school that is. Don't you ever touch a black man's cell phone company. Well, you don't have Apple or Samsung or a major competitor. I don't know. Okay, sorry, I just imagined that. Don't you ever touch our nuclear power plants. You don't have those. Don't you ever touch our central banks. You don't own those. You don't control them. Well, don't you ever touch our politicians. You don't own them. You don't control them. Yeah, but they black. But you don't own them or control them. Okay, well, just don't you ever touch our radios. We still got that. Chinese man came in right away. He touched it. What else can I say? Well, what else can I say? Oh, okay, lads, just don't you ever touch my fingernails. All right, I guess you can say that. So now we know what to come for next. We've got to utterly defeat you. We took away everything else you could say. Now you ran to your fingernails. Okay. We know what to demonize next. Instead of asking why doesn't Birdy Tolar get here and joke, you should be asking why do you